We've got some breaking news today, and it is a huge win for kids. On Wednesday, July 23rd, Kaiser Permanente, one of the largest healthcare providers in the country, announced that they would be pausing gender affirming surgeries for patients under the age of 19. And this will take effect on August 29th. Now, this doesn't go as far as we would like, but it is a huge shift from a system that has been aggressively pushing so called gender affirming care for minor children. And the email that came from Kaiser's CEO directly pointed to the pressure coming from the federal government and specifically President Trump's executive order earlier this year. We're going to go into all the details and what it means for children across the country in today's video. Hey everybody, I'm Julie Barrett with Conservative Ladies of America, and in today's video, we're going to be going through yesterday's email from the CEO of Kaiser Permanente, which really shows a huge shift that's been happening across the country in response to the Trump administration, specifically Trump's executive order from January. This represents a huge shift from the aggressive push for irreversible so-called gender-affirming care procedures and medications that have been pushed on minor children for the last several years. President Trump signed Executive Order 14187 on January 28th of this year. It's a bold stance against what he calls the chemical and surgical mutilation of America's youth. The order directs federal agencies to pull funding from medical providers that are giving minor children puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, or so-called transgender surgeries. President Trump's message was loud and clear: stop harming America's children in the name of ideology. Now, listen to what Kaiser's CEO Greg Adams had to say in his email on July 23rd. Since January, there has been significant focus by the federal government on gender-affirming care for patients under the age of 19, including executive orders, investigations by CMS and the Department of Justice, and broader agency reviews. Now, this is not just a coincidence. This is a direct result of President Trump's executive order and the work of the Trump administration to protect children from the harmful drugs and surgeries that operate under the guise of gender-affirming care. Now, Kaiser Permanente isn't alone. They join a growing list of medical providers who are halting their gender-affirming care services on minor children, including Seattle Children's Hospital, Children's Hospital Los Angeles, Stanford Medicine, and Rush Medical have already moved to pause or scale back their so-called gender-affirming care clinics. We can see that the tide is turning, and it is thanks to leadership that are putting children and their safety over politics and radical leftist ideology. But of course, the left isn't giving up easily, and they're not going to go down without a fight. On February 4th, the ACLA, Lambda Legal, and other LGBTQ activist groups filed a lawsuit in Maryland challenging the executive order. A month later, a federal judge issued a nationwide injunction blocking the executive order. Washington State, Oregon, Colorado, and Minnesota are leading their own lawsuit, calling the executive order an attack on state rights and transgender rights. So yes, there are lawsuits, which we expected. And of course, the mainstream media is pitching a fit and calling these anti-trans policies and executive orders. But this is clearly an effort to protect minor children from irreversible damage that come from these so-called gender-affirming care services and medications. We don't let children under 18 get tattoos. We don't let children under 16 drive a car. Parents even have to give specific permission for their child to take Tylenol at school, but somehow the left thinks that they are mature enough to decide that they want to change their gender. This is absolute insanity, and it is so refreshing that we now have leadership that's actually doing something about it, and to see that taxpayer dollars are are being pulled from funding these kinds of procedures. This is not political. This is fully about protecting children from these irreversible harms. It's not about healthcare. These are experimental procedures on America's children. I am grateful that President Trump has taken a bold stand against this. And as a result, we're seeing places like Kaiser Permanente, Seattle Children's Hospital of Los Angeles, stopping their gender affirming care services. Now, this fight is not over and it's going to be a long fight. And it's important that we, the people, stay vigilant, that we stay engaged, and that we keep making our voices heard, and that we continue to speak up to protect children from these dangerous services. It is exciting to see these wins coming from the executive orders that we saw many months ago come out of the White House. And I hope that this kind of winning is motivation for you to double down, to stay engaged, and to keep fighting for freedom, for liberty, and especially to protect America's children. Please be sure to share this video far and wide. I will have more details in our Substack, and I'll have that linked in the description of this video. Please be sure to give the video a thumbs up and leave a comment. Would love to hear your thoughts on this. Thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.